Hey, all right. Welcome back to Raff's Brain, a show about things that are interesting to me. I am your host, Rob Rafferty. Folks, it's time for another episode of Riffin with Raff. Yes, this is the interview stream of the Raff's Brain podcast, where I get an opportunity to catch up with people I admire, respect, and adore. And this gentleman today falls into all three categories. Ladies and gentlemen, tens of loyal fans and listeners of the Raff's Brain podcast, it is my sincere honor and pleasure and delight to introduce this audience to Nick Tucker. Nick, welcome to Raff's Brain, baby.
Hey, thank you for having me.
It is
And
so
and,
good
and hello to all of the Rafferty's extended family.
yes.
And
I have a small family but they're very dedicated, man. The Raff's Brain tribe, the Brainiacs, they're out there. And here's the story, folks.
well, I'll tell you, as someone who's published a podcast,
Go.
I was like, oh, this will probably just be my mom and my friends listening. And actually, they were the last ones to listen. So
Well,
it's actually interesting who you find
you
listening to
never
these sorts of
know.
things.
You never
Yeah.
know who's out there. I'm on all the platforms, baby. I'm on YouTube. I got the video, we got the audio. I got like little clips we're going to be sending around. So we're going to have a good time with this. And hopefully, we're here for a very specific purpose, folks. We're going to talk a little bit about our origin story, our friendship, etc. But I want to jump right off with the hot item on the press, which is why Nick was so gracious with his time to join this show. You know, I hadn't probably touched base with Nick for many years. We always are in touch with each other loosely. He lives in the West Coast. You're coming to us from San Fran, right?
Yep. San Francisco. This is what San Francisco looks like. It looks like
It doesn't
a
look like
laundry room.
this. It looks
No.
like that.
Yeah. I mean, for people of a certain income bracket, it does look like that.
Okay.
For my income bracket, it looks a lot more like this. I'm in the bunkers. I'm a Morlock, technically, just sort of subterranean. Yeah, I'm coming from a laundry room
And
right
you've
now.
been there for quite some time, I believe.
The laundry room, yeah,
It's
yeah. I've been here since 2020.
great stuff, man.
Yeah. San
Um,
Francisco, I've been living here since 1998, off and on. So yeah,
That's a whole nother episode. We could talk about the entire evolution, everything you've seen there. I bet it's been a lot, huh?
it's like three different cities. Yeah.
Amazing, remarkable. Well, what happened is I got an email from Nick. I don't know, it was a month ago or so, maybe I don't even know how long ago, but it was basically saying, "Hey, folks, I'm going to make a short film. It's going to be awesome, and sign up for my Seed&Spark campaign." And I love that type of stuff. I'm all about the kind of like crowdsourcing, micro support. I'm someone who joins this. I've never done the crowdsourcing campaign myself, but the moment I saw it, I knew I'm going to help. I'm going to get involved in this because I know Nick. We'll talk more about some of the works that introduced me to him back in the day. And I saw just a quick little video you made about this project. It's called Decommissioned, a sci-fi thriller about the
Mhm.
future of warfare. Sounds very ominous, but I'm like, okay, sign me up. So, folks, I'm dropping links in the show notes. You got to sign up. You got to check it out on the Instagram, everything. It's very, very cool stuff. And you're really taking people along for the creative journey. It's really going well. So, tell us about the status. Tell me about the project. How are things going?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because like you said, we've known each other for a long time, and I am one of those people who, if it's not right in front of me, it doesn't exist. Right? Like, I am terrible at keeping up with people. And so I think during the pandemic, for health reasons, I just like was like, I'm off Facebook. I'm not getting on Facebook anymore. Like, I just walked away from that. And so I basically had zero online presence aside from my work at Freethink. And so starting a crowdfunding campaign, it makes you acutely aware of just how detrimental that is. You're like, oh, I'm in contact with nobody. And so that was, it was interesting to me as someone who's very like just socially sort of like it's out of sight, out of mind. And so I was like, oh, I guess I haven't been in touch with any of these people for the last 5 years, and I felt like a heel, reaching out to everybody sort of out of the blue just because I was doing this. But it also has been really, really great to reconnect with folks, and a good excuse for me to just do that because I
This
always
is
forget
really
to
the
do
true motive. You just wanted to expand your
it.
social network. So
Right.
let's write and produce an epic short sci-fi film. That'll be a great sneaky way to get back in touch with people like that.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a
Well,
great excuse.
it's worked well. It sounds like you're almost 100 followers on the Seed and Spark page, and
Mhm.
it seems like you're making steady progress on that. I know you have like 7 or 6 so many days left to hit
Yep.
the mark. Um, so yeah, look, status report project. How are things going? You're about a little bit more than halfway through the campaign. Is that right?
Yeah, I think we're a little over halfway done towards our goal, and we have about a week left. I'm hoping that in the last week we'll, pick up some pace. We had a really strong first week, and that sort of tends to follow the trajectory of these things as they start strong and things slow down in the middle and pick up at the end. So I'm hoping for that strong finish. Um, but yeah, it is weird doing a crowdfunding campaign. I've like you, I've often supported them. This is the first one I've ever done,
Ooh,
and I'd never done one before, and so. I did not anticipate how all consuming they are. They are a thing unto themselves. And like people told me they're all consuming. So I don't know what I was thinking of. Just like, were they like partially all consuming?
yeah.
Are they sort of mostly all consuming? No, they're just all consuming. They just take up as much energy as you have and then a little more. So it's been really fun and very much a learning curve. And for me, honestly, it is really an excuse to do that connecting, oddly enough. In all sincerity, the value of crowdfunding is obviously the funding, but it's also the crowd, right? Like having a group of people who know about your project and will share it out when it's done and can start to build that momentum for when it does get released, that's huge, right? I mean, how much of what drives a project success is just that initial like momentum from when you release it on YouTube. When 10 people share it, that's great. When 100 people share it, that's amazing. When 1,000 people share it, that's huge. And that can like snowball into a much greater amount of awareness. So for me, it really is like I love the funding part of it. That's really important to us making the best film that we can. But it's also equally important for us to just like connect with people who are interested in thoughtful science fiction and be able to have built a little bit of that audience when we finish the film.
Excellent, excellent stuff. I know that the Raff's brain listening demographic is probably like 90% into sci-fi. So I think this is going to be a fruitful episode for me. It's mutual benefit to the max, as we say. And so you talked about smart sci-fi. Tell us a little bit about the story that you're going to tell here, the motives behind it. Maybe backing up one second, just so
Mhm.
folks know a little bit more context. You are a techno-optimist by nature. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so yeah, I would say I would describe myself as a generally techno-optimist kind of person, or solar punk, or however, whatever the buzzword is of the day, or an accelerationist, if you will.
Yeah.
So yeah, and generally, I think that the future is really going to be amazing as long as we make it amazing. I don't think it's a guaranteed outcome, but I generally think it tends to be that way because people do talk about it and imagine. I think science fiction is part of that process, right? Like we talk about possible futures, good or bad, as a way of trying them out. This, the term that my friend and I use is rapid prototyping the future. And it's just a way of like seeing like, well, what works about this? What do we like about it? What do we not like about it? Is there a way we can use these technologies in a way that will impact human life for the better, instead of for the worse? And I think we see that all the time. I mean, how many times have you heard 1984 referenced?
I live in the
Either
DC area, dude. It's
every day, right?
almost every day. It's a
Right.
fascinating. Um,
But what is that if not like an early prototype of, you know, tightly controlled political speech or a surveillance state or any number of other things? Um, and I find it really interesting that like we've done all those things despite that, but we've done them in a slightly different way, or we've done them in a way that is a little bit more acceptable. But we're still sort of living through a lot of those things that were predicted in that book, just but altered by how humans have implemented
it
it.
is funny. That's a really great analogy, and how it kind of creeps in too. It's sort of incremental and always obvious in hindsight. Not always at the time that it's happening, which is maybe the reason why you want to raise these issues even more. It's more important to have them on the radar. I do appreciate that you embrace what we hope will be a techno friendly future, that technology broadly and innovation broadly helps and improve our lives. And you're a host of a show, folks. You're gonna check it
Mhm.
out. It's called Hard Reset. It's a really kind of fun and playful. I don't want to call it gonzo journalism, but you are the great host, dude. You're such a great personality on the show. Tell us a little bit about that, because that's like you're exploring the possibilities, the upsides, the extraordinary potential of technology that could have in our lives.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really fun show to make. It was co-created by my friend Taylor and I, Taylor Hamilton, who's another filmmaker. He and I have collaborated on a lot of stuff, and we co-created it at Freethink. And he actually departed Freethink on friendly terms to work at another company, but so I just sort of been running with the show ever since. But yeah, it is very much about what are the technologies, what are the people and the ideas that sort of invite you to rethink the world from scratch. Not because we should rebuild the world from scratch, but because it exposes a lot of assumptions we have about how things have to be. And so um, and it's really interesting to me that we live in an era of unprecedented change, and very often we get hung up on the silliest of things. And if we were to start from scratch, the world would be totally different. Like the things that we would do and the way we would do it, if we didn't have this legacy of the last, 10,000 years of technology, things would be barely recognizable to us. Um, and for better sometimes and for the worse. Like we would lose a lot with that, right? Like the show is all about like also what you would lose if you started over and if you lost the embedded wisdom from 10,000 years of refinement that we see in a lot of the technologies we have today. So it's a fun show to explore those things, and it is really cool. Like it feels like you're living with one step, like one foot in the future. We get to go to meet the people who are really inventing the stuff that will be, changing the world in 5, 10 years.
Yeah, and look, I don't want to give it all away, folks. You want to check it out, but there's a really cool episode. This was exciting to me. Brian Johnson, this
Hmm.
dude who's like biohacking his own body to help understand all the different ways we can manipulate and maybe reduce or reverse aging this is really cool. I'm not going to talk about this episode too deeply because I want people to watch it. But Nick, you subjected yourself to a kind of like healthy version of Super Size Me, right? Like
Right.
you
Yeah.
were
It's
like
very much the opposite of Supersize Me. Um,
basically all the meds, all the exercise, the diet. It looked like a really, I know you were at the end, I'm not going to ruin it, but I don't know if I could have subjected myself to that. So kudos to you. And you look great. I don't know if you're keeping up with any of those habits, but it looks like you're looking pretty good, man.
I am. I am
Oh
keeping
my
up with quite
gosh.
a lot of it. Yeah. I not 100%. So I've definitely modified it a great deal, to make it more, user friendly. But yeah, I will say that. So to be clear, like we didn't do one for one what Brian Johnson does because we can't afford that. Like Brian Johnson literally has a medical clinic in his house. Like you
So
go
it looks
into
like
an
something like where
exam
you're
room
in
in his
the
house.
background there where you are.
Exactly. Yeah. No, he has like a very nice, like if you go to see go to like a boutique medical clinic, but that's in your house. That's what Brian Johnson has with all the tools like to do like, oh, I could just check my bone density. I could just do my like skin quality tests. I can do all the like right there in his house. So like it's incredibly expensive and he's taking like he's measuring his body every which way all day every day. Like it's just like that's his thing. So we didn't do that
Right.
because that is prohibitively expensive for a show on our size, and our budget. But we did do his diet more or less. He's vegan and I am not, so I did have meat a couple times a week, whereas he's vegan, and I had dairy products. We took most of the same supplements he takes. The only supplements we didn't take were the prescription ones because he has some like hormones and things like that that I think are prescription only, and I didn't want to mess around with that, and it was also prohibitively expensive. So we took most of the supplements, his diet. He exercises for an hour a day. His exercise is a lot more rigorous, like weightlifting and crazy stuff in his
I don't know.
garage.
I saw you weightlifting, bench pressing a cat. That
I
was
did bench press some cats. That's about my speed. I mean, you laugh. Those are heavy cats.
okay.
They're very well fed cats.
Is it the Maine Coon?
No, I think one of them he aspires to be a Maine Coon. He
Gosh.
eats like one, but he's in a slightly more compact frame.
Yeah, well, listen,
Um, yeah,
look, that was that's it's awesome. I just want to let people encourage them to check this stuff out, but then contrast that with your fictional narrative that you're putting together here for Decommission. Let's get back to this. What really brings us together here to talk about this film, which is it's a short. It sounds like you've been scouting locations. You got all the other pieces of it are coming together. But in terms of the story, give us a little insight into what's happening.
yeah.
Of course, you don't want to ruin anything, but
No, I don't want to do anything. I'm painting all the props right now. I'm building
oh,
props and
beautiful,
things like
man.
that. It's a horror movie too. It's like a sci-fi horror. So there's
Ooh,
brains. Got to have brains.
great.
Um, so yeah,
No
it's
zombies though, right? Hopefully, no.
right. Yeah,
Okay,
I'm 3D printing props right now. If you can
cool.
hear that in the background, it is a sci-fi piece. It's pretty dark. The tone is pretty dark. And it's meant to be a bit of a cautionary tale. it's the easiest comparison would be something like Black Mirror. I think because I've actually only ever seen one episode of Black Mirror.
Not the first one, hopefully. It's the worst episode of all. Please just bypass it.
No, I
Everything.
saw the one that was the riff on Star Trek.
Oh, that's great. There's a second one that just came out. It's like the follow-up to that. You
Yeah,
got
I
to
need
check
to
that out.
watch that. Yeah, I'm saving it as a reward for when I finish this
All
project.
right, cool.
Yeah, my last short film was also a dark sci-fi piece, and everyone was like, "Oh, you should watch Hard Reset." I'm sorry, sorry. Hopefully, you can edit that out because I just made a fool of myself
I
there.
don't edit anything, dude.
Yeah,
It's
so,
okay.
Black Mirror. Everyone's
Black
like, "You
Mirror.
should watch Black Mirror,"
Yeah.
but you should watch Hard Reset. Like and subscribe.
Okay.
So I made this dark sci-fi piece, and everyone's like, "You should watch Black Mirror," and I was like, "I don't want to watch Black Mirror because then I'm worried it's going to influence the stuff I want to make too much, et cetera." And I kind of wanted to stay
Sure.
to that. And I try to do that with Hard Reset too, where it's like I know there's a lot of other great shows that cover similar topics, and I try not to watch them too much because I don't want to like steal their to try and accidentally steal their vibe.
Hmm.
Um, so I have actually only ever watched a couple episodes, that one episode really of Black Mirror. So, but yeah, it is very much in that same sort of vein of like a dark cautionary tale about technology in the near future.
How long has this been
Um,
on your mind? I mean, like, is this a type of story that's been there for a while, but then suddenly just seems
mhm.
like the right moment to strike, or what's that?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this story and this world for a long time, and I've thought about it as like a bit of a thought experiment about a future and different kind of parts of that future. And this is sort of like the near future version of that. And there's a story that I put together that takes place a little bit further out in the future and et cetera. But this one is set in the somewhere in the next 15 years, and it's meant to be set in the United States after a second Civil War. Um, and so it's a little bit about that and about how we've dehumanized each other that way, and then how we've sort of literally dehumanized each other through technology. And so it's about how technology and warfare have kind of present us some pretty terrible choices.
Okay, well, it sounds very uplifting. I'm just kidding. It's going to be great, folks. I'll check it out. I'm going to drop the links, like I said, in the show notes. And this, as I understand it, is like maybe the start of of a longer story.
Mhm.
Are you able to tell this in a way that's satisfying and complete, or is it going to kind of leave a little bit of open-ended possibility for a more sort of extended version? And
Y-
if it is
yes to both.
the answer, beautiful. And do you think that's in your mind right now, though you're not wed to this? Would it be a feature? Do you think it's a series, episodic, or a trilogy? Have you got it
I
all,
think
have you all figured out yet, or you're still like wait and see?
it's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I think I think there's a series. I think there's all sorts of versions. But my heart for this one is if this one does well, I would there's a feature version of this that I would like to do, and it's
And
sort of
what is
directly continuations from that.
yeah, what does well then look like for a film like this? So walk people. My audience loves consuming content. I don't know that there are
Hmm.
many out there in my legions of tens of fans and listeners that they're actually producers of the content. So explain us a little bit about what do you hope to succeed? What is success for you in making this film, other than creating art, having a great time, getting, I mean, all that, which we know. It's a miracle that any film ever exists, honestly, in my experience.
Truly.
But once you've done that, which you're undoubtedly going to do, what is the real end goal here, and how do you measure that, or how do you have a sense that you're making progress?
Yeah, that's a great question. Short films are not profitable. They're not made for profit. They're very rarely in any way profitable. The idea of a short film is a proof of concept for something else, usually. So this one is meant to be a proof of concept for a larger feature. The hope is that people will see this and see the promise of that larger feature vision and be willing to back that. Now that's, there's a lot of different routes for that, where it's like, do I take this and pitch it to studios or to independent production companies or crowdfund a feature or any number of other things? But a short is basically a way for you to create this thing that people can see is real, show that you have the capability of making it and making it well, and that there's, a world worth exploring there.
Do you think you'll take it out on the
Yeah.
festival circuit, that sort of
Hmm.
thing? Is that the goal?
Yeah, festivals for sure. And we'll also definitely be exhibiting it online as soon as we can, because I want to put this out there for as many people to see. And um, I think online is the way to do that. A lot of stuff goes to festivals and then just vanishes. And I think that's a terrible tragedy, because there's some great films out there that I've seen at festivals and you never see them again.
Yeah, I'm screen sharing here just for your awareness
Hmm.
for my vast legions of YouTube fans. They're out there. This is a little bit of what you can see when you get on the Seed and Sparks page. You have a team. This is obviously not a one-man operation. Tell us a little bit about the
Yeah.
talent you've put together and assembled. I mean, these people are impressive. I'm reading the bios, learning all about it. It's pretty wild stuff. So tell us a little bit about that process and how that came together.
Yeah, so the first well, there's the first person I'll mention is Brandon Johnson. He's an incredibly talented puppeteer and costume maker. He has a very large TikTok following and Instagram following, and now a YouTube audience. He has like 1 million YouTube subscribers, and he is responsible for Spirit Walker, which is this life-size puppet that he wears. And he also has another one called Ghoul, and they're sort of these quadruped creatures that he inhabits, and they're really, really, really beautifully made. And he's
They
really
kind of look
talented.
like I don't know, sloths with really bad posture.
Right. Yeah.
It's really cool,
Um,
man.
yeah. So he makes these, and they're just gorgeous pieces of costume. And I had been watching, I've been following him on Instagram for a long time. And so when I saw his work and I was thinking about this, and the initial idea was to do these combat drones and the story as these CGI things. And I thought, that what a missed opportunity to do something practical and to work with someone like Brandon, who is really talented. So we reached out to him, and very, very happily, he was open to collaborating on this. And when I say collaborating, I mean, I gave him some ideas and then he ran with them, and he and his dad are just working their butts off to make incredible
That looks so
costumes.
cool. He's like, you put this on. I'm showing some clips here from Instagram. He actually gets in. Is he going to be a character? Is he going to be an actor in the film
Hmm.
as
Yeah,
well?
so he'll be
Oh,
performing as the scout drone that he's building, that you see him walking around
you're
in.
doing such a great job documenting this on social media. I've been following Instagram and seeing the images and the updates, and that's really cool. It makes you feel like you're part of something special. How about your cinematographer, Tim Sessler?
Yeah. Tim is another incredibly talented person. So Tim was the cinematographer for my last short as well. Um, and he is, I mean, he's one of the most like impressive cinematographers I've ever worked with. He does a lot of car work. He does a lot of work on car ads and things like that. He's incredibly talented. He also just recently shot a feature film called After. It's a really, really beautiful film. And he just has a remarkable eye. He has a really great eye for finding, beautiful compositions and an eye for emotion. And he'd actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, we should do another short." And I was like, "I'm going to take you up on that." And sure enough, here we are. So he's agreed to do this, and it's really great to have him as a collaborator.
Well, listen, we are thrilled to support this. I'm on board. I'm
Yes,
invested.
thank you for your support. It
That's what
it
I do.
means a lot.
You didn't just thank me. It's my honor, dude. I love it. I can't wait to see it. And you're doing a great job, deepening our emotional bonds. I got this cool it's like a digital dog tag that says I'm a
Mm-hmm.
part of this project. It's kind of neat, man. You're doing a great job kind of giving those relics and items that make us feel like we're part of something bigger than ourselves. And I love nothing more than this to succeed at an epic level. And then I could say I was there when I was supporting this indie sci-fi short film that then becomes like this monstrous franchise that has, suddenly it's all McDonald's Happy Meals and something.
Well, that's the dream, right? If when they turn your indie project into a McDonald's Happy
Yeah,
Meal
I'm so,
store,
just
you've
joking.
arrived.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, I'm not. I want
Listen. All
that.
right. All right. So, well, we have a little bit of time left. I think it'd be fun just to jump back in time a little bit. Our origin story, because I want to know, obviously, the what motivated me to invite, and thank you again for so much for your time. I know you're very,
Of
very
course.
busy. Um, is just whatever I could do to help draw attention and support for your film. But then just like for folks to know, hey, how does Rob know this guy? And I want to say our connection was probably through the Moving Picture Institute, which is a great nonprofit supports stories about freedom in film. And you're an
Hmm.
artist that you actually have kind of a documentary background, if I remember correctly. Is that accurate description?
Sure.
Tell us about your origin
Uh,
story. And here's the thing, folks, people who know me, which is all of my listeners probably know me personally. You're not a filmmaker per se, Rob. I don't do that professionally, but Nick is. Nick is a creative genius and he does this for a living. And I want to know, and I want my listeners to know, like, when did you first know that you wanted to make movies? And then when did you actually commit to
Mm.
that and decide this is what I'm going to do, no matter how challenging or difficult that path may seem?
Well, I think that you inevitably when you commit to this path, it's before you know better. Which is just like it is not a rational choice. There's no good reason to do this. It's I it is a wild ride. I have made yeah, so I started making films in college and I went to art school and studied film, which was very much a random choice, I will say. Like it was like I was 18 and basically threw a dart like at the wall and was like, I guess I'll go to art school and
Had
learn
you had
this.
you had you, had you experiment a little bit? Did you have any access to the equipment or gear in your high school at all? Or
Not really.
okay,
No, I mean the closest we'd ever come was like making little Legomation films for
wow,
English high school English projects, and they were terrible.
yeah.
And like those sorts of things that were just silly and nowhere close to actual filmmaking. But yeah, no, I just liked movies a lot as a kid. I was obsessed with them. That was my main thing. And so it made sense that I would go and make them. And it's been wild. So I went to art school, studied that. I studied film. I made a feature in college that did okay as an independent film, and have made a couple other things like that. We met through MPI because I was working on a documentary at the time, and the MPI also funded my last short, helped me raise that money for that, and so yeah, so I've been attached to MPI and know you through there and through some other folks there, you can't. I mean, it's not a large community of people who are sort of like focused on individual liberty and filmmaking, and so MPI is definitely, and it's still a diverse group of people. Like
Sure.
you get a lot of very 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 interesting perspectives on that. People from all over the political spectrum, but it is still very much united around that, and that's actually one of the best parts about it is that you do get so many very different viewpoints sort of united by that one common thread.
Yeah, I'm a big fan, and they've introduced me to many, many creative people who I remain in close touch with to this day, including the founders of Freethink, which you referenced earlier, Dan Hayes, Clay
Hmm.
Broga, and company. So another great outfit. I'll drop a link in the show notes to them as well. When we met, I want to see if this is a crazy memory. Did you have to like used to wear like this little
I had a
a
wooden bow
wooden
tie.
a wooden bow tie?
Yeah, I still have
Yeah,
it somewhere. It's broken, unfortunately.
that was such a
Um,
cool little trademark.
I also have a wooden necktie that goes all the way down.
Nice. Well, what
Yeah.
do you get? Have you got out your outfit for when this premieres at Telluride or whatever?
Um, I definitely I don't know if I'll wear the wooden bow tie. I might actually. It needs to get it should I should put it back in the rotation. I have a couple other really I for a while I was wearing a bow tie every day. My co-creator for Hard Reset, Taylor, and I would wear when we worked at a design firm together for a while. We would always wear suits and bow ties every day as just sort of like a thing. We were trying to get everyone to wear suits to work. Did not work. But we look great. But yeah, no, I have for a while I was sort of pushing the eclectic style thing, and now I'm just like I just need jeans and a collared shirt, and it's if you watch any episode of Hard Reset, like you'll see if you watch them all, you'll see like 8 shirts, and that's all the shirts I own. I've just given up on that part.
I've kind of moved into the Hawaiian shirt stage of my life. I'm pushing 50 years old. I'm caring less about the world. I want relaxed feel. I don't really need to look good for anything anymore. Depends on what, the day calls or demands, but it's my status and my fashion advice at the
Yeah,
moment.
I'm about 8 minutes away from just trading all in for like mechanics overalls. Which I got to tell you, I think about that all the time. I'm like, well, that would just be so much easier.
Very
Except
versatile.
except for using the bathroom. That's the only thing. It's like then it's really like you got to take the whole thing off just to use the bathroom.
So this is going to sound somewhat crazy because I don't. You're a West Coast guy. I'm an East Coast guy. Our paths don't cross all the time or even that often. But I do remember it was many years ago. Business brought me out to San Francisco, and you kindly met up with me. I was there for an economic conference, and somehow we got together and we just hung out really late into the wee hours of the night. And this is a funny thing. It kind of crosses over to your hard reset episode with Brian Johnson because I remember you telling me and complaining about all these different, and we were going through like this litany of sleep disorders that you've experienced in your life.
All of them.
I'm not trying to
I,
make light of your conditions, but it was
no,
like
that's yeah, it's
I was
hilarious.
I think I was complaining that I was having struggling with the the jet lag, and you're like,
Hmm.
Rafferty, if you can just get a good night's sleep, you're millions times ahead of me, man. I've got narcolepsy. Da, 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 da. I was like, oh my
Everything
gosh.
but narcolepsy. Everything
Okay,
but
so
I've never fallen asleep when I didn't want to.
that's
That does
important.
not happen.
Well, that's
Ev-
healthy.
Yeah.
You're ahead of some people, I guess. But then I saw that that was the thing they were tracking on the sh on your hard reset show with Brian Johnson. So
Hmm.
did you get any insights from that experience, or have your has your sleep patterns like improved over the years?
My sleep has definitely gotten a little better over the years.
Yeah.
I think because I'm just more tired. Although I actually have an Aura ring, which is really great for sleep
Ooh, I've
tracking.
heard about that.
I really like it for that. It's about, I mean, for everything else, you're better off with an Apple Watch or a Whoop or one of these others. But for sleep tracking, it's so nice because you don't even notice you're wearing it,
Very
and
cool.
it's sort of weird wearing a watch to bed.
And
But
I hate that. I do not do that. I do not. I charge
yeah,
everything.
it's
And
not good.
no, it's not good.
Yeah.
Um,
So, but I do like that, and I like the sleep data, and I will say that Brian Johnson is really good about his sleep schedule. He's very regimented about it. We were not so regimented. That was one of the concessions we made just for our schedules.
yeah.
And I have a son, and like, I can't be going to bed at 8 every night. Like, it's just not going to work.
It's tough,
But
man.
he's
Discipline
very
when
regimented.
discipline meets reality, like the real, it's just not as easy as it sounds.
Yeah.
Um,
But I do, I will say, like, since then, I haven't, like, I think when we were talking about that, like, we were talking about litany of sleep problems I've had, like insomnia, sleepwalking. I'm a sleepwalker. And sleep paralysis is the other one that I've
Sleep paralysis
experienced.
is the one you were telling me about. I was like,
Yeah,
it sounds terrifying. You wake
it
up
is
and but you
utterly
can't
terrifying.
move and you can't breathe. I'm
Hmm.
like, dude, you gave me panic attacks just having a drink in the bar. I'm like, man,
Yeah,
this guy's crazy.
it's freaky as shit. Yeah, it is a nightmare. I mean, literally a nightmare. That you can. It is absolutely terrifying. I haven't had that in a long time, so thank goodness for that. So in that respect, the sort of like very acute sleep problems I haven't had in a long time. But I will say my sleep quality overall is just like what you would expect from a 45-year-old man who drinks probably 25% too much coffee every day.
All right. So we're on the same wavelength. Um, so that's just a little bit of about how we, got to know each other and how we connected. And now I'm so grateful that we reconnected. I'm so grateful that you were willing to take time to just touch base, be a guest on Raph's Brain. Welcome, dude. You're here. You're kind of, I would say you're early. This is my fourth iteration of the podcast. Um,
Okay.
there were many starts and stops, but I'm going strong now. This is like episode, I think you're going to be 116. If that's a
Oh
lucky
wow,
number, let's just get
that's
it's a lucky
great.
number. That's a lucky number, all right? It's going to be great. And I just am so thrilled that you had time to do it on such short notice. I'm going to get this out as soon as possible. And folks, please check out the links, check out Nick's work. If you're really motivated, I hope you'll give it some support. This is a exciting project, and it would mean a lot to me if you would do that for my friend Nick.
Oh,
So,
thank you. Yeah. And
thanks
and
again.
even just following is helpful, and spreading the word. We really
Follow,
just want to
share,
connect.
spread the word. Every little bit helps, folks. Anything you do, like stuff on Instagram, get excited about people that are out there creating things, bringing new ideas in the world. I'll say this as we're wrapping up. One thing that gets me going when I see creative work, especially in the sci-fi space, is that it's just someone with an original idea. I mean, my
Right.
goodness, I'm so tired, and I love, by the way, look, I have these little guys sitting up here, like little Alien franchise. You got a Predator up there. Yes, but that stuff's like 30, 40, 50, I don't know how old it's decades. And it just seems like it gets a little bit tired. And I love those things.
Hmm.
So I don't want to ever talk bad about them. But you're doing something original. And this is an opportunity for people who like original sci-fi to support an indie artist who's going to make something great. So thanks for doing what you do, Nick. Congrats on
No, thank
pushing it
you.
through. It takes a lot of courage to put yourself out there like that. So we
No.
appreciate it. And I hope that all our listeners will chip in and support it.
Well, thank you for having me on. It's a lot of fun, and I'm sorry it took so long for us to reconnect. So, but thank you again, and yeah,
We'll catch
please let
up
me know if
again.
the next time we want to do it.
We'll catch up again once it's in the can and once you get your plans there. I'm sure my people will be very
Right.
curious about the progress. Until next time, thanks so much, Nick. Thanks to all listeners. We'll see you soon. Have a good one.